Can I be a little bit bold?
Yes, you can.
Is career politician a dirty word? You're an elected official. You're part of the government.
Yes.
And yet it sounds like you're a little bit critical of government.
Poverty is profitable. We should always remember that.
When he's incarcerated,
Exactly.
and that they're going to make a lot more money off him than hiring a tutor in the public school to help him with his learning disability.
The foundation of our success, I believe, lies in education.
Let me ask you a personal question with handling stress.
Yes.
How do you deal with all of the negative energy?
People who are saying those things, they're hurting. All I can say is God forgive them. They know not what they do.
Wow.
We have been taught as children that we have 5 senses. That's just not true.
Right. Could public policy play a role in that?
We're not appreciating how much our mind and our attitudes and our thoughts create our reality.
Agree more.
It's just you are what you think. Those who don't believe won't achieve. We have never been taught how to breathe. Breathing is an important function, and if you don't learn how to do it correctly...
You're reminding me right now to breathe, by the way. By the way, I don't hear politicians speak this way.
We are energy.
Yeah. Let me ask you an off-the-wall question.
Yes.
Welcome. This is a very special occasion, a very happy occasion at Soul Words. We are in our brand new studio, the Soul Words Studios in Queens. Our first inaugural podcast interview. We were looking around, who could we get? Somebody interesting, somebody well-known, a real A-lister. And then, everything is divine providence. Hashem runs the world. This opportunity presented itself to us, and we grabbed it. So we sat down with Eric Adams, New York City Mayor, the 110th Mayor of New York City, and had a really interesting conversation. We didn't speak about the typical things I think people are used to hearing from him. We spoke about deep stuff that I want to talk about, meditation and neurodivergent thinking and learning disabilities and remote viewing. Yeah, some paranormal stuff, some conspiracy theories. Deep stuff, cool stuff, not your typical stuff, soul words. At any rate, we hope you enjoy this episode. And we want to thank our sponsors of Rummy and Malky Goldfeder and Mel Brandel over at Electric and Beyond. They helped us out here with our facility here with all the wiring from the small stuff to the big stuff and everything in between. Electric and Beyond. You can reach them at 718-4BEYOND, 718-423-9663. Also, we want to thank Yitzi and Susie Novak over at Integration HD. If you want to have the smart system where you can do your HVAC and your security system and your audio and video and everything remotely on your phone, they did it here over at the Soulword Studios. You can get it at your house. Integration HD, that's 516-612-0677, 516-612-0677. We're going to have both those numbers down below in the description. Thank you to our sponsors, and please enjoy this conversation with New York City Mayor Eric Adams. Pleasure to welcome you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure and honor, and I want to inform you that you're our first guest in the new studio. So
I feel blessed.
We feel blessed to have you here.
Yes.
We're in Cambria Heights, not that far from where you spent some of your formative years, right?
Yes.
Queens. Here's a question I have for you. So you've spoken about, as a youth, you had a rough childhood involved in, not the most wholesome things, not the best things. And turned your life around and became a public servant. And, it's an amazing story. But here's my question. On the streets, involved in the things that we wouldn't want youth to be involved in, like the negativity.
Right.
But I believe that everything we experience has a message. Even the negative things, God has a plan. So here's my question to you. What did you gain that you used for good that you would not have gained had you not been exposed to the difficulties and the negativity in your earlier life?
Well, I think first, what I try to do as mayor is to look at why was I going through some of the negative things in my life. And it came down to what I didn't realize. I had undiagnosed learning disability, dyslexia specifically. And being bullied and teased and laughed at in school, I didn't feel like I had a safe environment. And because of that, I did not want to go to school, and I spent days being on the streets. So when you go to the origin of what caused our
Right.
behavior, you have a better understanding. If the opportunities were there and I had a safe environment, I would have never had to find an alternative of some of the troubling things I did as a little boy. And young people are impressionable and they go through emotional trauma. A story I always tell about an 11-year-old child who was, when I was a police lieutenant, the young man was arrested several times for robbery, gunpoint robbery. And as I dug into his story more, all of that anger he had is because his dad was in jail for homicide. His mother was on crack cocaine and selling herself on the streets. And he was out of school for months and no one found him.
Right.
And so if you would have just looked at the robbery he committed and not what caused it, this young man was raising himself at 11 years old. And I didn't look down on him because of the circumstances that created it.
Before we sat down, we visited the grave of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, who was the anniversary of his passing is coming up in a few days, and there will be a lot of activity here. Many people from all over the world will be visiting the gravesite. And one of the things that Rebbe spoke about very often was that if we could allocate more resources to education, we would, in the long run, save money that we would otherwise have to spend on the criminal justice system, which sounds like what you're saying.
Yeah. One of my heroes is Desmond Tutu.
Yeah.
He was in South Africa during the apartheid. He had a quote that I live by. We spend a lifetime pulling people out of the river. No one goes upstream and prevent them from falling in the first place. And we have a downstream mindset in government. We allocate billions of dollars on actions that we would have had pennies on the dollar if we would have only gone upstream. And so our administration is an upstream administration. We're doing dyslexia screening. We're investing in foster care children. We do preventive lifestyle medicine in our hospitals so we don't feed chronic diseases. So we believe that we should focus on upstream solutions while we address those who are already in the river.
Right.
Because we have to deal
with it
as
once
well.
they're there. Right.
So that dual approach allows us to make some of the successes that we have witnessed.
You know, there's an old story. It's like there's a town called Helm, which it's a place that's known for foolish people. So it's a whole genre of stories that people from Helm are very foolish. So the story is like this. There was a bridge in town, and it was a rickety bridge, and people were falling through into the valley. And like every day there'd be someone lying at the bottom of the bridge, lying in the valley with broken bones. And they convened a meeting, the people of Helm, and they said, this is terrible, this bridge, everyone's falling off the bridge, falling through the bridge. What should we do? So they came up with a solution. They allocated funding to build a hospital under the bridge right where the people needed it. They didn't fix the bridge. They put a hospital at the bottom of the valley for all the people falling off the bridge.
And that's government.
Can I be a little bit bold?
Yes, you can.
Okay, you're an elected official. You're part of the government.
Yes.
And yet it sounds like you're a little bit critical of government. Like as an insider. I mean, you're an insider.
Yes.
Is career politician a dirty word?
Yes.
It is? Because I won't call you one if it is.
But my career is public safety.
Public safety. And part of it expresses itself
exactly
as elected office.
Yes.
Okay, very good. But you're an insider. You see how things work. It sounds like you're critical of, like, you're saying that in politics, a lot of the way that people are looking at things is reactive.
Right.
Do you think there's a reason for that? It's like,
yes,
is that the culture? Is that, like, how did it get that way? Is there a way to fix that?
Yes, I do. I believe there is a reason. And when you're inside and you do a proper analysis of it, upstream, remember I said you fix the problem, pennies on the dollar.
Right.
Downstreams is billions of dollars.
Right.
There are too many people that are making money downstream. And when you start trying to correct those downstream problems, you're pushing up against
putting them out of a job.
Poverty is profitable. We should always remember that. Poverty is profitable. That one child that has a learning disability that we didn't diagnose, he goes out and pick out a gun picks up a gun. Someone made profit off that gun.
Right. When he's incarcerated,
Exactly.
and that they're going to make a lot more money off him than hiring a tutor in the public school to help him with his learning disability.
Exactly. You know,
wow.
So when you, and I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but the reality based on
it's a podcast, so it's good for engagement. little conspiracy theory is always good for
And I think we have to be honest about that, because when we try to change laws, the pushback we get, for the most part,
pushback from whom? The system.
Those who profit from these systems. What we're trying to do, even around homelessness, we're trying to do involuntary removal. We're trying to transition people out of temporary housing into permanent housing.
Right.
There's a great deal of money that's made in homeless shelters.
Right.
So we are going after how people make money. Now, I'm not saying they're doing it intentionally.
Right.
Self-interest is a driving force for many people. Our interest will always be the interest of the people of this city.
How do we turn it around? Is it a cultural shift?
I think it's going to involve real, honest, frank conversations. And we can't be afraid to see what is taking place. People often ask me, just pick 3 things as the mayor and just focus on those things. And I just don't believe that. Mm-hmm. And I received a lot of criticism because, so what if I fix 3 things when I have 99 things that need to be fixed? And we tried a holistic approach. And going back to what you stated, the foundation of our success, I believe, lies in education. Mm-hmm. If we educate, and I'm not talking about just academically, just that you could do geometry. That's exactly what I
was going to chime in.
Right.
I'm sure you know, as someone who spent many years in Crown Heights, that the Lubavitcher Rebbe said that education is primarily moral and ethical education.
Exactly. Our education system, what we are attempting to do is we're trying to develop the full personhood of our children.
Right.
Education means that I'm going to understand your history, you're going to understand my history, and we're going to understand the commonality that we have. Education is, like we rolled out this week, financial literacy, teaching our young people how to control their finance. No one is teaching these unbanked communities and then placing them in perpetual debt and poverty. Education is on how to eat the right food. We changed the food in our school system to stop feeding the healthcare crisis. And education is about not only your physical body, but the anatomy of your spirit. We're teaching young people meditation, mindfulness, breathing exercises. We want to develop the full child and not just have them graduate because they can do a geometry mathematical problem.
Reading, writing, arithmetic.
Exactly.
Right.
That is not how you survive. You and I both know that it takes
I got to tell you, I never used the Pythagorean theorem in real life.
Right. But you will use the skills of managing stress. You will use the skill of being socially, emotionally intelligent. You will use the skill of being a deep listener so you can be a deep understander and you could be communicating. Those skills we were not teaching, but we're trying to teach those skills now.
Okay. There's so much stuff. My brain's like popping with so many different connections here. Okay, first of all, I want to talk about handling stress in a second. I'm going to come back to that because I want to ask you a personal question about handling stress.
Yes.
But you mentioned meditation. I'm sure you're aware the Lubavitcher Rebbe was very in favor of a moment of silence.
Yes.
Not to lead a prayer, because we're talking about public schools where there shouldn't be any specific religion being promoted, but a moment of silence, and that the children should be able to think about whatever they want at the beginning of the day, just to focus their minds. And the way that Rebbe described it is let the children go home and ask their parents what the parents want them to think about. Right. Not the schools, not government, but the parents. And the Rebbe said that moment of silence could be transformative. So,
Yes. Wisdom has been around a long time, and there have been men and women like the Grand Rebbe for many years. And how they are able to really heighten the awareness that all of us have, because we all have that awareness. Some are able to heighten it even more. Like we could all pull a ball, we could all put a ball in the hoop, but Michael Jordan was able to do it at a heightened level.
At his level.
But it doesn't mean we can't do it also.
And you're saying there's certain like spiritual giants
right,
who are on another level.
like the Grand Rebbe. And I could go through so many people who have walked among us and who have possessed a level of spirituality. They've exercised their spiritual muscle. And oftentimes that exercise of the spiritual muscle comes from those reflection moments, the meditation, the breathing, the reconnection, because we have so much noise going on that Grand Rebbe was right. Having that child sit down for a moment and having that child reconnect.
Yeah.
Because by the time these children get into school, the trauma they experience in the household and en route to school is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And so we want them to add and subtract, but who's going to put them back together first? And that's why we said we wanted to introduce meditation and breathing exercises. This is not a form of religion.
Right.
It's a form of reconnecting oneself, quieting the noise, and getting prepared to absorb the lesson of the day.
Okay. Now let me ask you, I said I want to ask about stress.
Yes.
You're a public figure.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people have opinions about you who've never met you.
Right.
A lot of them are not very polite about how they, speak about you.
Yes.
I've heard you speak about this, people posting stuff or, Twitter or whatever. I'm asking you a personal question.
Yes, sir.
How do you deal with all of the negative energy and stay focused on what you got to do?
I remember going into one of the tombs in Egypt, and on the wall itself says, "To thyself be true." And I'm able to deal with all of the incoming of criticism and stress because I'm true to myself. I know my heart, and I know the work that I'm doing. And oftentimes, think about it for a moment. How many times have you tweeted something negative about someone? People who have healthy hearts don't have unhealthy communication. People who are saying those things, they're hurting. And hurt people hurt themselves and they hurt others. They don't only do it physically, they use any object or method that they can to hurt. So all I can say is, God forgive them. They know not what they do.
Wow. I want to get back to what you're saying about your undiagnosed learning disability.
Yes.
And specifically dyslexia.
Yes.
I have a friend, Tamir Goodman. Sports Illustrated called him the Jewish Jordan. A very talented basketball player. Actually, he was given a scholarship to Maryland when they had a very strong basketball program, and he couldn't play for them because he was keeping Shabbos. So he's a friend of mine. He told me that he had dyslexia. He still has. He has dyslexia. He said that in school, he was miserable because he would look at the blackboard and the letters and the numbers would just swim around. He couldn't make heads or tails of it.
Right.
But that same brain, same exact brain, when he would stand on a basketball court and he would play point guard, he would see what no one else could see, 2-3 plays ahead.
Right.
So he said he had to realize that he wasn't dumb. His brain he had a superpower that was a liability in one context, but it was an asset in another context. So here's my question for you. Your brain that suffered so much in school, particularly undiagnosed and unsupported. I have a lot of people who connect to my content who identify as neurodivergent or differently wired. So as someone whose brain is differently wired, what's something that you pick up on or you see that you don't think neurotypical or the average person sees?
That's a great question, because I think that the Creator does not take something away without giving you something extra. And I have had the ability throughout my career, which has been a blessing in my career, to be able to feel the emotions of people.
Like a sixth sense?
Yes. I could walk
You read people.
Yes. I could walk in the room and address a crowd. My staff knows oftentimes they would give me something to read, and I get there and I'll look in the crowd and I can feel that's not what they need right now.
Right.
And I think it has
reading the room, they call it.
Right. And
so you have a speech prepared,
right,
and it's prepared, but you don't use it,
right,
because you realize
I am feeling something else, and I've always had that feeling, and I'm sure that many people who are dyslexic would tell you they too have that feeling, because it's not that we are dumb, we learn differently, and we have to use more senses. We have been taught as children that we have 5 senses. That's just not true. We have
Right.
so many more senses, but our senses are like muscles. Our sense of taste, smell, hear, and touch, we had to learn about those. We never exercised the muscle of our other senses.
No one sat you down and taught you how to develop that sixth sense.
Right.
You probably developed it as a compensation for the struggles you were having.
Right.
My question to you is it transmittable? Could you sit someone down and teach this to them?
I'm not sure. I don't know if it's teachable. I saw documentary I saw the other day about a person who was blind, and he used the same clicking sounds. As
sonar to get his
exactly,
bearings.
similar to what bats use.
Right.
And he was able to walk and be able to tell if an object is in front of
Right.
him. Could that be taught? Possibly.
Right.
But being blind did not have the distractions of what our visual interactions may be. And so when I read, I love reading about unusual people and the what we would call superhuman skills they may have. In fact, it's not superhuman. It's just exercising those muscles. If you exercise those muscles of all of the talents and senses we have, many of us can do far more than what we're doing.
Do you think that there's a way to develop more of these, or maybe even just recognize more of these unconventional
Yes.
talents?
Yes.
And here's my real question: like, could public policy play a role in that, or is that something that just has to come from the home or from?
No, I think public policy can. We have to first remove the fear we have, because we have been.
What's the fear?
The fear to be different. Because remember, we as human beings, we are communal human beings. We
Right.
want to be part of the group.
Right.
And if you all of a sudden start to talk about the ability to do remote viewing,
Okay. Now you're getting conspiracy theory. This is good for the clicks.
Yeah, but
you believe in that?
Yeah, without a doubt. And our government is aware of that. It's not
It's a known
secret.
thing the CIA did.
Right. We use
Yeah,
remote
yes.
viewing, but all of our children can be capable of doing that, but you have to exercise the muscle, So if your son or daughter comes to you and said, Mom, Dad, I saw something.
Right.
Instead of us embracing that and teaching them how to continue to exercise
Right.
that muscles, we look down on it.
We dismiss it, or
Right, exactly.
We laugh at it.
That's where we've gone wrong. And we're learning now. When I go to the Sloan Kettering Cancer Treatment Center, they're saying patients who heal from their cancer are those who come with a positive attitude,
Right.
positive energy. They're more likely to have a greater
Right.
success. We're not appreciating how much our mind and our attitudes and our thoughts create our
couldn't
reality.
agree more.
And just
I
look
couldn't agree more, yeah.
at quantum physics. You are what you think. And so when I ran for mayor and I was behind in the poll and people told me I couldn't win, I never thought that I couldn't win. No, I put out in the universe what I desire and what I needed. Now, the universe may not give you what you want, because sometimes your wants
Right.
are not what you need.
Right. You mentioned, is it okay that I mentioned, you said when you were behind in the polls, when
Yes.
the Dvora Halberstam, is it okay that I mentioned Dvora?
Yes, she's a good friend.
Okay,
Yes,
so
yes.
when we were at the Rebbe's gravesite, so after we came out, you visited Ari Halberstam's grave, and you told me that that's something that you do every time you come here. And then you mentioned to me that when you were behind in the polls, Dvora told you to come here and pray, and that things.
She
around.
called me one night and she said she had a dream. Devorah Haberstein, who's the founder of the Brooklyn Jewish Children Museum, her son Ari was killed on the Brooklyn Bridge by probably one of the first acts of modern day terrorism in our city. He's buried near the Grand Rebbe. He was close to the Grand Rebbe. He spent a lot of time in his house. And she called me, Devorah called me one night in 2021, and I was behind in the polls. And she said that I had a dream that, Grand Rebbe said, go to the gravesite. And he said, write down what you want and
Right.
write down your concerns. I wrote it down,
Yeah.
tore it up.
Yeah.
I put it in front of the Grand Rebbe's gravesite, and you just started to see the changes in the poems,
Uh-huh.
And so those who
So you're a believer.
those who don't believe won't achieve. The lack of belief is probably the biggest impediment that gets in the way of people achieving their great success. We are
Okay.
so much more.
But getting back to the question of, is there anything public policy can do? Like, I see you have a great appreciation for undeveloped potential, unconventional potential, spiritual potential of human beings. Where can government, if at all, do anything to foster that, or at the very least not to hinder it?
Yes, yeah, right. You said something there.
Okay.
Foster, not hindering. Don't underestimate the power that we're teaching children how to breathe.
Okay.
There's a great book that's called Breathe.
Okay.
I encourage everyone to read it. It's
Okay.
probably one of the best books I've ever read, because we don't realize that we have never been taught how to breathe.
Okay.
Breathing is a function. It's not just putting in air into your body. Breathing is an important function. And if you don't learn how to do it correctly, it could have serious health risks, and it won't allow you to really manage stress properly.
Mhm.
Like when I came in here today, I was thinking about something that was, problematic that I have to do today.
Right.
I just took a moment and I just, slowed down my breathing.
So
And-
you're running a city and you're running for re-election. You got stuff going on.
Right,
You have a
right.
personal life too, I'm sure.
Right.
So lots going on.
And I'm glad you said that, because you have the professional, you have the personal,
Right.
and you're dealing with all of that. So you have to take
Yeah.
a moment of breathing, and then you have to take a moment, when you think about it for a moment. Like, we just saw one about Grace.
You're reminding me right now to breathe, by the way. That's you're talking about.
And we do have to be reminded, to
We do.
breathe. You ever had to do something and you get nervous and all of a sudden you feel your breathing pattern is off, or you're hyperventilated? It's because
You know what it says in the book of Exodus,
Mhm.
when God tells Moses to tell the children of Israel, we're going out from slavery.
Mhm.
He goes to them, says they did not believe him because, I'll tell you the Hebrew word, koitzer ruach, shortness of breath. Shortness of breath. They could not believe that the redemption was at hand
Right.
because of shortness of breath.
Right. And that's why breath work is important. And then you have to have a full. And I hope your listeners, if they don't take anything away from our conversation,
Okay.
I'm hoping that they take away that this is not the end of our journey. I say this.
The physical
Our
embodiment.
physical embodiment. And I share this all the time at funerals.
By the way, I don't hear politicians speak this way. This is not, this is
Right.
out of the ordinary. Like I love this. This is my speed.
Right.
I love this.
And because when you think about it, is that as I share often at funerals,
Okay.
energy cannot be
Created or
destroyed
destroyed. Yeah.
destroyed.
Conservation principle.
Right.
Yeah.
And we are energy.
Yeah.
And so the question becomes, when we leave our physical and transition to
Yeah.
spiritual,
Yeah.
we're still here. The Grand
Yeah.
Rebbe's still here. We have to learn how to see their existence in their new form. Just as you burn a piece of paper, it turns to smoke and heat. If you're still looking for it in the original form of the paper, you'll never
Paper's
find
not
it.
there, but it's
feel
there.
the heat,
Yeah,
feel the
yeah,
warmth,
yeah,
the
yeah.
smell. And so once you understand that, you don't get trapped into everything that's happening into life.
I love it.
It's going to be all
I
right.
love that.
No matter
It all is going to be all right.
It's gonna
Because
all
God
be
is
all
running the
right.
show. It's going to be all right.
And I say this to my team.
Yeah.
It's all part of the process.
It's all part of the process. Everything. It's all
Part of the process. So being re-elected, not elected, somebody writing a bad editorial about me or not, it's all part of the process.
Yeah. Just ride the wave. And to thine own self be true.
Yes. So Wisdom has been around a long time.
Let me ask you a off-the-wall question.
Yes,
Tomorrow,
yes.
Eric Adams is suddenly in an alternate universe where they tell you you have all the same skills, same weaknesses, same strengths, same story, everything, but you cannot be a public person, meaning not a public servant. You have to be anonymous. What would you do? Where would you channel your skills, your wisdom, your experience in a way totally like off the grid, in an alternate universe?
Yeah, I traveled several years ago. I traveled to Myanmar and Bhutan, a couple other Sri Lanka with a group of monks. And I long to, when this is over, the public life, I'm longing to get reconnected to our real purpose. You know, I don't have the time.
You would go and meditate all day?
I would go into a point of meditation. I would go into a point of really looking at some of our ancient societies. And I would like to really explore, learn more, go to some of those regions and see, and do some more
Now you
research.
could see yourself.
Yeah, no, I'm going.
Pray, meditate,
Yes,
study
yes,
ancient texts all day.
Yes.
You'd be happy.
Yeah, this is a wrap. When I finish being mayor, you know, I've done the best that I can for the people.
Yeah.
It's time for me to do the best I can for myself.
Like Shaolin monks.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever. Really,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yes. It's been a good journey. God has blessed me.
Yeah.
I'm blessed with good people in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm blessed, you know, with health. So, you know, I don't look back. How could I complain? There's only been 110 people who have become the mayor of the greatest city.
I didn't know that, by the way. If you would ask me,
It's actually less than 110 because each cycle, if you're the same mayor, you hold on. I will always be 110 no matter how many times I'm mayor.
Mm-hmm.
But how could I complain? You know, from where I was to where I am, it's a true testament that the Creator is real.
Let me ask you this. Everything you're talking about, this appreciation for the spiritual and for the non-corporeal and developing people's untapped potential. Sell me on, if it exists, if you could envision it, New York City, and I'm just asking New York City because you're the mayor of New York City. What could New York City look like if we could get people thinking that way about there's more than just the material? What would society on a city level, what would that look like?
That's a great
if
question.
That revolution in consciousness would happen?
And we're trying, you know, because it's like you said, it's a evolution and a revolution to just change the dog-eat-dog world that we are in and what we emphasize on. We're trying by doing our breathing exercises, our meditation, doing our breaking bread, building bonds when we have different ethnic groups coming together and sit down. We won't see people attacking each other based on their beliefs because it's all the same vehicle trying to get to the same destination. So if you're driving a Volkswagen and I'm driving a Cadillac,
we're on the same road.
We're just trying to get to the same destination. We would start to appreciate each other.
Yeah.
And I just think we'd be more tolerant of each other and not just try to hurt each other. That's what we're missing. We could train our finance. We could be economically strong. We could be all of those things.
Right.
But if we're broken internally, we're never going to get where we ought to get to.
I know you have a very full schedule today.
Yes,
I'm grateful for the time you were able to spend.
Thank you.
This has been very enlightening. I'm glad that you were open and you just spoke about the real stuff, not just the regular talking points that, you know.
Yeah. And this is an Arnold Schwarzenegger moment. We'll be back.
All right.